Hey, everybody, what's going on? This your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Steelers Almighty, man. We appreciate everybody being in here, everybody showing up, man. We got a lot to go over today, got a lot going on. It's the off season. We're right in the thick of it. We basically have, a month until free agency. So we got a lot going on. We're talking about the combine today. That's coming up. Roster and staff moves, some stuff that the Steelers have done. We're going to bring that up, and then also talk to you a little bit about the end of the season and how it ended. Were we just overwhelmed? Is that what it was? As far as what happened at the end of the season, was the schedule just too tough for the talent that the Pittsburgh Steelers had? We're going to talk to you about all of that and more. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in those comments, and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content is coming up and coming out. We appreciate you guys. Remember, memberships are also available. Ton of content on that side that are for members. So if you want to help support the channel in that way, make sure you sign up. Links are everywhere, front of the page, in the comment section, all over the place. So let's get into this, man. Let's get into it. So first things first, we had some roster moves and some coaching moves. So the first thing is the Steelers cut Preston Smith. And, you know, I don't know that wasn't a surprise. I don't think to anybody that follows, number one, the NFL, the Steelers, or anything. I mean, cutting Preston Smith, it saved $13 million in cap space. I don't think that was a surprise to anybody. They had to do it. Um, that was part of the reason that the Steelers got Preston Smith. Now they needed the flexibility and they needed some depth at that position last season. But part of it was, hey, man, if we cut him, $13 million is coming off our cap immediately. He had no guaranteed money. It just makes sense. So it just makes sense. Other cuts, Larry O, he's going to be gone, it looks like. Cordell Patterson looks like he's going to be gone. So as far as cuts there, again, the Preston Smith was a big one. The Larry O is going to be another big one. I'd be if the Steelers don't do that, they're not even trying. Look, I mean, we can like who we want to like, but we have to make some tough decisions. And you can't make tough decisions when every time it's time to get rid of somebody, it's, well, he played really hard and we like him, or he's a really good guy. Look, everybody can be a good guy, but business is still business. And the NFL, it's a business. And so every time it's time to make some of these tough decisions, we can't look at it like the guy's our best friend or he's our brother and we don't want to get rid of him. It's like, look, we appreciate what you did, but we got to move in a different direction. That's what's best for the ball club. And ultimately, it might even be best for you because you can go somewhere where you're going to get another opportunity because you are no longer going to get one in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I mean, we got to start looking at things that way. I get it. It's tough, but you know what? The best franchises do it. They just, hey, we got to make these decisions. They're tough. They may not be popular. They may not even look good on paper. But what's best for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we have to make these decisions. Now, I don't think Preston Smith is one of those decisions where anybody's scratching their head like, hey, man, what are we doing? No, I don't think that's the case. I also don't think that, getting rid of Larry O is going to be one of those where people are scratching their head, can't figure it out, or Cordell Patterson, we can't figure it out. I don't think anybody's going to be wondering, with those moves, the amount of money that the Steelers are going to save. I don't think anybody is going to question that. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't. So, Scotty McCurley, new inside linebacker coach. He's a Pitt alum. We had to get somebody like Aaron Curry moved away. Don't know a ton about him, but we'll see. Look, the one thing I know is he needs to be able to motivate our middle linebackers and get them to play better. That's what I would say. We need to get them to play better. Queen, he was all right, wasn't great, but we want him to be able to play better. So, Patrick or Peyton Wilson, that's a person that I think we need to get up to speed, and have him take over the full-time starting job opposite Patrick Queen. There's been this talk. Do you bring E-Rob back? Do you not? I think you do because you can bring him back for the cheap. But the ultimate goal is you want Peyton Wilson to be the guy. That you don't need to have a rotation. Just have him be that guy. And if he is, then that's good. That's literally why you draft him where you drafted him. So, Arts Baby Doll with our first super chat. Do you think the Steelers will spend money? That's a great question. I do. Because they've got – look, here's the thing about salary cap is that you have to spend 90% of it. The NFL mandated because all those years that the Bengals, just for conversation's sake, if the salary cap was $100 million, the Bengals were spending 30. So they changed the rules on that. So you have to spend at least 90% of the salary cap. So the Steelers are going to have to spend money. And to be quite frank, the Steelers have always spent the money. It's where they spent the money. That's been the problem. It's paying a defense $160 million when you're only spending 64 on the offensive side. That's the issue. That's going to change because obviously we're going to have to pay a quarterback. Now, it may not be huge dollars, but we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to pay somebody somewhere. But that's going to change. But I do, Arch Baby Doll. I do think the Steelers are going to spend the money. I really, really do. So what do I think? Lamont brings up a good question talking about Patrick Queen. What do I think about Peyton Wilson having the green dot versus Queen? I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I'm not opposed. I mean, look, I know I bashed on Minkah, and I don't think Minkah needs to be making $18 million for what he does for us. But I wouldn't be opposed if Minkah had the green dot if he's back with the Steelers. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Does it have to be a middle linebacker that has it? I mean, I guess traditionally it does, but it doesn't have to be. But yeah, if Wilson can get it down and understand what's going on and can relay the information, then absolutely. And just let Queen go play, then yes, absolutely. Doesn't have all the communication issues and all that stuff and just let him go run around and go make plays. I'm all for it. So that would be my thing. If it frees up Patrick Queen to play better, then I'm all for it. And hopefully the new linebacker coach, Scott McCurley, can help with some of that as well. And bringing out maybe even get better play out of Queen. But more importantly, get Peyton Wilson. Get him to take a big step forward in his second season because that's what we need, people. We need him to take a huge step forward so that any other linebackers that we bring in are literally just depth. Because Wilson and Queen have the athleticism to not come off the field or to play in passing downs. Queen obviously is going to play every down. We need Peyton Wilson to be able to play every down, not run around blocks, be physical at the point of attack when they run the football at you. If he can do those things, then yeah, we got something. So that's where I'm at with it. That is exactly where I'm at with it. So we'll see what happens. Let's change the pace here. Talking NFL Combine, that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So obviously the Steelers have holes, and you can't fill every single hole in free agency. You're just not able to do that. So the draft obviously is key. Steelers got 8 picks. What I think the Steelers might move around a couple of picks to try to move up to get access to better players. But if they don't, okay, I'm not going to be too mad about it. But I think the Steelers got to figure some stuff out. This combine is a big combine for Omar Khan, for Mike Tomlin, for everybody involved. This is a big combine because we have holes. We need to fill them. where do you start? So the combine dates, let's pull that up here, is you got the combine dates. And for as far as working out, Thursday, February 27th, then Friday, and then March 1st, and then March 2nd. So you got D linemen and linebackers on Thursday, D backs, tight ends on Friday, wide receivers, running backs on Saturday, and then offensive linemen on Sunday. Now, to me, the Steelers they got to focus somewhere. Like, where do they focus? Like, what is how would you rank the positions as far as importance based on combine groups? If it's me, I say, now granted, I don't think quarterback is that big of a need, but wide receivers and running back is. So I would say that March 1st, that Saturday, is the most important day, followed by Thursday, then Friday, and then Sunday. That would be my order. And the reason being is because, like I said, wide receiver and running back, we know we got to get some. We just have to get some in this draft. We also have to get defensive linemen. We damn sure got to get a defensive lineman in this draft, maybe two. And we definitely need a cornerback in this draft. So that would be the order. Now, again, I'm not opposed to getting a good offensive lineman either. I don't want to just act like and forget offensive line, like we don't need to address it at all. We need depth. Look at what happened to us this year as far as injuries and everything. So, but that would be my order. That would be my order, is running with that, is have the quarterback, wide receiver, running back group. That would be the Steelers' emphasis, most emphasized position day. Then go to D-line linebackers, then go to cornerbacks and tight ends, and then offensive linemen in that order. That's what I would be looking at. So I'm not sure about you guys, but I just feel like those are the positions that we got to get stuff doing. We got to get it going. Got to get it going. So finally getting a fullback. Yeah, I mean, you can look in the draft. I think there's plenty of fullbacks that are out there on the free agent market that the Steelers could get. I've said it I'm with you, brother, man. I've said it from day one. Is if the Steelers are going to be this team that wants to be a physical running football team, then get a fullback on your roster. Just stop messing around with it and get a damn fullback on your roster. Somebody that can play special teams too, but have a damn fullback. So I get it. Arks Baby Doll, we need a huge nose tackle also. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We absolutely need a huge nose tackle. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. Gotta have a nose tackle, gotta have a fullback. In my opinion, a fullback. So, but we just need people. We need people. Steelers got a lot of holes. So when we take a look at this, and I'm going to go down some position groups, and you guys let me know what you going to get in the chat and let me know. As far as the position groups, and I'll just start from quarterback and go down, 2 names for each group that the Steelers should look at. So starting with quarterback, a lot of people are screaming Will Howard. I'm going to start with Jackson Dart. A lot of people have been talking about Jackson Dart. He's a 3rd, 4th round pick at best. I wouldn't mind that. Here's a name to keep in mind: Kyle McCord. I like Kyle McCord. I think he got a bad rap at Ohio State. I think a lot of people just wanted him out there because he wasn't C.J. Stroud. Turns out that Will Howard, C.J. Stroud, none of those could be Michigan either. So they kind of made Kyle McCord the scapegoat for not being able to beat Michigan. And just keep your eyes on Kyle McCord. He had a really good year at Syracuse. Really good year at Syracuse. So just, keep him in mind when we're talking about maybe draft, because he'll be a late round guy. Wouldn't mind keeping an eye on any of them. Wouldn't mind that at all. Now, as far as running backs are concerned, look, we all know the big names, Genty, excuse me, Hampton. I mean, we know the big names as far as running back. Here's somebody that I think the Steelers got to keep their eye on is number one is Ollie Gordon. Look, he was the Doak Walker Award winner in 2023. Didn't have good quarterback play in 2024, so teams just loaded up the box. Plus, his offensive line didn't play well. Now he didn't look great in the Senior Bowl. During Senior Bowl practices, he didn't look great. I want to see what his body looks like at the combine. Is he going to take it serious? Because he has the tools. He has the tools. Is he going to be in shape? Is he going to run a fast 40? That's the number one running back that I want to keep an eye on. Now, I'm not saying it's the number one running back that the Steelers should draft, so you didn't hear me say that. All I'm saying is people to keep an eye on. Because, again, you know who the big names are. Everybody's going to be watching them. Just keep your eye on Ollie Gordon. Another person that a lot of people may or may not is Corey Kiner out of Cincinnati. Just keep your eye on Corey Kiner out of Cincinnati. Now, another one would be Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. I like Taj Brooks. I do a podcast called the Big 12 Insiders where, we were talking about Taj Brooks all season long. He's really good. They didn't throw it to him a ton, but when they did, he caught it. Now, the only thing about Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech, he's got a lot of miles, because they wore him out. They threw the ball all over the place, but when they ran it, he got the football. So keep those three in mind. Look, as far as wide receivers, there's a ton of them. A ton of them. But I'm still going with Jaden Higgins. I still like Jaden Higgins because he's not going to be a first-round pick. He's not. But that's somebody that the Steelers need to keep an eye on. Because if you can get him in the third round, you're doing yourself a favor. You are absolutely doing yourself a favor. Another one to keep your eye on. Look, there's tons of names out here, man. But I like, and I can't find his name for some reason. There he is, LeJohntay Webster from Colorado. Now, he's not going to be a guy that's going to pop up on the screen early. He's not going to be that guy. He's going to be around later in the draft. But if the Steelers get somebody in free agency and then they draft somebody early, then you can come back and take a wide receiver late. He would be somebody that they should take a look at. Mel says Ja'Cory Brooks. Now, look, I could have said Ja'Cory Brooks because y'all know I love Louisville. So I could have thrown him out there. I didn't want y'all to think I was too biased. But I like Ja'Cory Brooks. Absolutely. Route runner, gets open. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's who I would take a look at. Those guys right there is who I would take a look at as far as wide receivers. Now, tight ends, look, I haven't even studied the tight ends, I'll be honest with you, because the Steelers don't need that. You got Darnell Washington. You just signed Pat Freiermuth. They could draft the tight end, I guess. But what would be the purpose? Because you're there. To be the third guy, I just don't know that you have to necessarily draft a guy to be the third guy. So, again, I haven't studied the tight ends because I try to keep it relevant to what we really, really need. And I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if the Steelers drafted a tight end, especially when you have Hayward under contract. There's your third tight end. You're going to draft a guy to be the fourth tight end? I don't think so. So just my opinion, but I don't think so. So that would be where we're going there. Now, offensive linemen, again, I'd be shocked if the Steelers took one early. Doesn't mean I would hate it. Y'all know me. I'm offensive lineman. I love a good offensive lineman, but look out for Luke Kendra out of Cincinnati. Road grader, guard / center. Look out for him. He would probably be around in the 4th or 5th round, and I like him. I like him a lot. I like him a lot, not just a little bit. I like him a lot. I like Marcus Tate. I think he is good. Cameron Williams out of Texas. There's a lot of guys. Like I said, we all know the big name guys. We all know the big game name guys. Everybody's going to be watching them. You got to dig in the weeds a little bit and try to find people that maybe everybody's not as familiar with. So that's kind of the people that I would be taking a look at. That's who I like. And then moving on, defensive lineman. Now again, we know the big names. We it doesn't do any good to talk about the big names. Here's a name. Now I am going to do a little fandom here. Ashton Gillotte from Louisville will be around in the 4th or 5th round. He should be there. Good edge. He would be a great picture Aaron Smith. A strong, maybe not a stronger Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith was like an ox, but more of a Brent Kiesel type of person, except a better pass rusher. He would be perfect as a defensive end for Pittsburgh. Good against the run, real good against the run. He would be the perfect DN to slot into our 3-4 scheme. Now, how long are we going to keep the 3-4 scheme? That's a different conversation for a different day. But since we're in it now, he would be good there. He would be good there. So Peyton Page, don't dislike him. There's a lot of D linemen out there. Again, names that you may or may not know. There's a lot of them out there. The one person that I would Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State, I just don't know. I feel like he's a big effort guy. I just don't know. I know he made a lot of plays. I do know that. He's been coming up on some boards, but here's the person that I want to watch. Deone Walker. Now, again, he's more of a bigger name, but people talked about him at the Senior Bowl. Maybe he wasn't in the best of shape or played a little high. I want to see what he looks like. Is he going to run? Is he going to take this combine seriously? Is he going to lose some weight? Is he going to come in at 339 versus 347? How many reps is he going to do on the bench? I want to see Deone Walker because if the Steelers go first round wide receiver, Walker will be there in the 2nd round as far as a D lineman, and I think the Steelers should jump all over him. I've said it. Some people think he's going to be a bust. I don't. And I could be totally wrong. Again, I could be totally wrong. But that's the thing is that there's so many holes. You're exactly right, Jay. There's so many holes with the Steelers. You just don't know where to start. You got a lot of places that you can go. A lot of places. Now, linebacker, I like Jay Higgins out of Iowa. I'm not sure he'll be around when the Steelers need to pick a linebacker. Don't know. Colin Oliver out of Oklahoma State, like him. Kareem Reed out of Utah. Again, names you may or may not know, should be around later. Keep your eyes on them. Those are the 3 right there. I like those guys. Nick Martin out of Oklahoma State's really good too. So just keep your eyes on some of those people as far as what the Steelers may or may not do at linebacker. Now, defensive back, look, I've said it. I've been all over this young man, Quincy Riley out of Louisville. I've been saying it for a long time because Steelers need a corner. They should address it in free agency. Will they? Who knows? But if they do, then they still need another one. Okay? I would say that the Steelers secondary is a little short on quality corners. So Quincy Riley out of Louisville, he's shooting up draft boards. Here's another name that people may or may not know. Now, again, this goes against my principles because he played at Kentucky, but Maxwell Hairston. Look out for him. Steelers should have their eyes on him. I know they do, and so do a lot of other people. If he slips to round 3, he'd be perfect for what the Steelers are trying to do, man. So that's what I'm I'm waiting for. He would be perfect for what the Steelers are trying to do at corner. And then the specialist, well, we don't need a specialist. I mean, we got the best kicker in the league, and Waitman is an outstanding holder and was a great punter. And if Johnston comes back, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Either way, the Steelers got that covered. So we got that covered. So that's what I'm looking at as far as what the Steelers should be looking at in the combine. So it's a week away. But we got to get ready. We got to get ready. We got a lot of holes to fill, man. That's my only issue with Pittsburgh is like, man, it's like, I shouldn't say it's my only issue, but it's one of my issues is that it's like, where do you start? Like, what do you do? And it's almost like you just wait till the draft gets here and then you let everything unfold and how it unfolds and then you go after it from there. So, but that's who I would be looking at. That's what I'll be looking at. So, getting to these comments a little bit. Jay says we need Deion Walker. I think so too. I like him. I absolutely like him. So, no more injury prone players, says Brother Man. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, that's exactly right. I just that was disappointing with Faetano. Not that we drafted him, it's just that he got hurt. Man, I feel like the offensive line could have been so much better had he been playing. So much better. But we'll see. We'll get our opportunity. So we don't need another Dan McCullers. Okay, great. Let's switch topics here. So talking about the Steelers. Was the late season schedule just too tough? Like the ending schedule, was it just too formidable for us? Is that what happened down the stretch? It was just those 3 games in 11 days against that kind of competition. Was it just, hey, man, we don't have a fair shot? I mean, you think about who the Steelers played to end the season. First of all, they played the 2 Super Bowl contender or participants. You know, we played the Eagles and the Chiefs down the stretch. I mean, we played both of them down the stretch. We played the Ravens twice, but we know how good the Ravens are. Now, we played the Bengals, and I'm not saying the Bengals were great, but you know what they bring to the table. You know, we know what they bring, offensively anyway. We know what they bring to the table. So, was it just too tough for what the Steelers could do? You know, you look at that schedule down the stretch, it was just formidable. And with injuries and with the depth and with the talent that the Steelers actually had, it was just too much. In my opinion, it was just too much. And now I guess my question to you guys, was it injuries? You know, because look, TJ Watt was out there, but TJ Watt was a shell of himself. We all saw it. We all saw it with our own eyes. He couldn't do the things, and they still treated him like he was a regular TJ Watt, but we saw that he couldn't move, he couldn't pass Watt. He was out there at maybe 60%. He just couldn't do anything. We watched it. So injuries, I think, had something to do with it. A lack of depth. Because we had injuries, especially on the offensive line, we're having to play guys that should have been depth pieces, and they're forced in the starting lineup. And then when you start playing superior competition, it gets rough. You know, it gets rough. And I think that's kind of what happened. You know, you think about the Eagles game. The Eagles, those guys got hurt. They had injury issues, but it was all early. And then at the end of the season, the Eagles got healthy. The Steelers never got healthy. Like, they never got healthy. There was never a time where you could, now granted, everybody's playing with aches and pains, but I'm talking about guys missing time. The Steelers the offensive line could never get over that hump. They never got over the hump. Even the last damn game of the year, McCormick's out with a broken hand. They said he'd have been out 3 weeks with that. Well, you know, it just, you couldn't get past it. And then the lack of depth, we just didn't have it. You know, we didn't have it. Now, you can blame whoever we want to blame, whether we want to blame Mike Tomlin, we want to blame Omar Khan, we can blame whoever we want to blame for that. But the fact of the matter is, Steelers just didn't have the depth, especially on the offensive side of the football, and especially at the wide receiver position. We just didn't have the horses to be able to compete. That has to change. It has to change. You know, we can be mad at the quarterback, and the quarterback, it deserves it. But everybody else deserves it just as much as the quarterback, if we're trying to be honest about this. So it was ugly. It didn't look good. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. We've got to be better. Or we've got to be better. But the teams that we played, now that we can sit back and we can look, it's just those teams were better than us. And I think the more that we can be honest about that, I think it's okay. We can say the play calling sucked. It did. We can say the defense sucked. It did. Couldn't stop the run. They couldn't. Played vanilla defense. We did. No weapons on offense. All those things were true. But when it comes down to it, the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs were just better football teams than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just were. You know, and for whatever reason you want to come up with, fine, I won't argue with you. But they were just better than us. And it's sometimes it's okay to just admit, hey, man, they're just better than us. We played them those games at the end of the year, that was brutal. I mean, that literally took the life out of the Steelers. Those 3 games in 11 days to those teams, that took the life out of the Steelers. It zapped us. It zapped us because they physically whipped us. And when you get physically whipped, then we had nothing for Cincinnati, and then we just stumbled into the playoffs. It was a nightmare. It was just a nightmare. So, yeah, that's just it was bad. It was bad. So, no, I wouldn't say the Eagles won the Super Bowl with our defense, just with a better roster. No, their defense plays different. But you're right. They didn't trick the Chiefs or anything. They just had better players. They definitely did that. But yeah, the Steelers, the fact of the matter is the teams were just better than us. And that's okay to say. It's okay to admit it, that they were just better. We just have to be better. We got to be better. We got to be better. You know, like I said, those in 10 days, we just have to be better. And what are we going to do to get better? Let's get in the chat, man. What questions do you all have in the chat? So, and you're right, Big Pun. It's not that we just lost. It's that we got beat down. Yeah. Yeah. It's that we just got physically beat up in those games. Like I said, we got beat up in those 3 games. Then we had nothing for Cincinnati. We had nothing for them. And then we stumbled to Baltimore at the end of the year, and you could see that thing coming, getting crushed a mile away. You could see it coming a mile away. So it just is what it is, man. We tried, but sometimes teams just get the better of you. Sometimes they just get the better of you. So what do we got here? So Brother Man says, despite that, we had a chance to beat the Eagles and Chiefs. Just poor play calling. Nah, it was more than poor play calling, man. I think you're not remembering the Chiefs game. We couldn't stop them. You know, the miscommunication in the defensive secondary, leaving Travis Kelce wide open, that doesn't have anything to do with play calling. I mean, that has zero to do with play calling. That's guys not understanding the assignments, being confused. That ain't play calling. So that was ugly. Arch Baby Doll says, B, do you think McCormick hit the rookie wall? 100%. I talked about it on several podcasts. He absolutely hit the rookie wall. Now, he broke his hand. I don't think that had anything to do with it. But, yeah, he definitely hit the rookie wall. I think him and Zach Frazier hit it. It's a lot of football that those guys went through. Basically, a full year of nonstop. This is the first break that they've had in a year. So, because they played their senior year, they had to perform all off season to get ready for the draft, then OTAs, mini camp, preseason, all of that stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot. They definitely hit the wall. They definitely hit the wall. So, but yeah, we've got to figure out some stuff. This draft coming up and free agency first. I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to free agency because that's going to tell us a lot. If the Steelers sit on their hands in free agency and don't overpay for guys, good players, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be upset. If they don't do that, and I know what you're saying. Well, why would we overpay? Everybody overpays in free agency. I mean, everybody. That's the name of the game. You're overpaying. So we got to go get players. We got to go get players. You can't win if you don't have good players. It's just that simple. People have brought up the Eagles several times in this chat tonight. The Eagles had a roster full of players. Now, a lot of them were drafted players, or trades, but they have players. They went and got players. They identified who they needed, and they went and got them, and then paid them. Steelers have to do the same thing. We can't just sit back and hope and pray like we did last year with the wide receiver room. We just sat back and hoped and prayed that maybe it would work out. Hell, I'm trying to make excuses. Well, Freiermuth can be the number 2 guy and pick. No. Trying to make a silver lining out of something. No. Just that doesn't work. And it didn't work. We've got to be the aggressor this offseason. Mike Tomlin talked about change. This has got to be part of the change. This has to be part of the change, is being overly aggressive in free agency. That's got to be part of the change. We already heard rumors about T. Higgins, is that the Bengals are going to franchise him again so they can get him on a long-term deal. So I never thought T. Higgins was a real possibility to Pittsburgh. Doesn't sound like it actually is now. Now it's starting to come out that, yeah, the Bengals want to keep him, which they should. They should. So the scouting has to be better. Yes, it does. The scouting has to be better. The scouting has to be better. Everything has to be better. Everything. So, but we gotta be aggressive this offseason, man. We really do. We gotta be aggressive this offseason. If we are, we got a shot. If we sit back on our hands like we did this last offseason, it's gonna be trouble. It's gonna be trouble. So, all right, man. I appreciate everybody being out here. Thank you guys for joining us today. Again, tomorrow, remember, we showed up for the big show. So make sure you guys are all tuned in. Me and Big G are going to be going at it again on the big show tomorrow night, 8 Eastern time, 7 Central. So make sure you guys show up and show out like you always do. Memberships, again, are still available. Make sure you guys are signing up if you guys want to help support the channel in that way. But one big thing is, hey, once you're out of here, do me a favor. Make sure you go into the video, hit like, and then go make a comment, man. I absolutely appreciate you guys. So until tomorrow, we appreciate you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing out. We will holler at you tomorrow with the big show. Aloha.